delighted that we in Britain have been at the forefront of policies to help stop or at least mitigate the worst effects of climate change. We were also world leaders on policies to abolish the use of landmines and chemical weapons. And this has not only been achieved through great political will and determination, but also through our diplomatic competence and excellence. Now, we have one of the most outstanding and far-reaching diplomatic services globally, having representatives in 85% of the world's nations and at all major multilateral organisations. We are one of the few countries in the world to reach the 0.7% of GDP target for spending on overseas development aid. And we're the second largest global aid donor now, with over £14 billion of taxpayers' money involved. We therefore, I believe, have the institutional capacity to formulate, influence and implement international strategies in order to promote peace, and indeed I believe it's our duty to do so. We have the ability in this country to be innovative and to be bold in our strategy. So we should use these resources together with our influence to protect and strengthen the liberal values of human rights, democracy, poverty reduction and global governance. When we see an erosion of the multilateral system across the world, as I've just mentioned, when we see countries such as the United States retreating inwards, then it's up to us in this country, I believe, to make a stand. But we must also be more aware of the negative consequences of our own past. We cannot forget the impact of our colonial legacies and their contribution to the dynamics of many conflicts where we were once a colonial power. It's therefore incumbent, I believe, on us to put right some of the wrongs of our own past. Our current government, in considering our future role in the world post-Brexit, seems far too preoccupied, I hope you'll agree, with trade, and indeed trade quite often with some highly dubious regimes. We believe that to protect our people and our values at home, we must ensure that we create a global environment that secures and enhances peace, and that we must lead by example. Peacemaking should be a fundamental aspect of political decision-making, since it affects so many corners of society and so many government departments. Clearly, a new vehicle for peace is needed that understands the world we live in today. We need to support the increasing global demand for more effective, efficient policies to uphold peace and thereby improve security for all of humanity. That leads me on to the peace doctrine. Now, all this forms the foundation for Labour's proposed peace doctrine. As I previously mentioned, we seem all too often to take peace for granted. Indeed, peace building remains a field that receives minuscule investment compared to the vast sums spent globally on warfare, as Vijay's pointed out. Peace is frequently an afterthought, but conflict prevention and resolution, post-conflict peace building, and justice for the victims of war crimes should be the issues which deserve far greater investment and priority. Now, sustaining peace is a shared responsibility, one that involves work in prevention, peacekeeping, post-conflict recovery, reconstruction, and institution building. It will involve multiple agencies and departments working far more closely with one another in a deeper, more consultative process than we've ever experienced. It will involve a whole range of actors at home and with indigenous actors in conflict-prone regions working together. It will acknowledge the importance of groups in society so often ignored in peace building, such as women, such as children, who are vital contributors to peace. It will therefore promote a shared ownership in the agenda for peace building. We cannot have peace if we do not all work together more effectively. Surely we all have a stake in this. I see the peace doctrine, our peace doctrine, as an open, consultative document, which is not just owned by the Labour Party, but is something in which we all have a vital stake, and that means everybody in this room. Sustaining peace also requires a fully integrated approach, at not just the strategic, but the policy-making and operational levels. The peace doctrine envisages bringing together resources from all of the externally facing government departments and will be placed at the heart of the government's activities. It will be, I hope, an adaptable and transferable policy, which will bring together the various departments of state, including the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, the Ministry of Defence, the Department for International Development, the Department for International Trade, and organisations like the British Council, among others, and will fundamentally overhaul how we as a country go about responding to conflict, as well as our capacities and approaches to building and maintaining peace. For too long, many of these important government departments have been neglected and starved of funding by ruinous austerity that threatens our security and our obligations in the world. So we must harness our resources and work better together so that to let these institutions reach their full potential and to flourish. As our first Shadow Minister for Peace and Disarmament, I already work between different departments, and I'm a member of the Shadow Foreign and Commonwealth Office and Defence teams. The Peace Doctrine foresees a role for a Minister for Peace and Disarmament that could highlight what resources from each department will be needed for each specific issue, and will tirelessly pursue an agenda for peace. Now, there's currently, as we know, a lack of what we politicians call joined-up thinking between government departments about peace building, where that silo mentality often still prevails. Furthermore, there's also a lack of joined-up thinking and action between government itself and the NGOs, the non-governmental organisations, such as Safer World, for example. Though my consultations with various organisations and academics, through my consultations with organisations and academics, I've been deeply impressed by the expertise and the dedication of so many in pursuit of peace, and I'm eternally grateful for their contribution. I see greater opportunities to utilise more effectively the resources of government and NGOs in order to pursue our common goals.